You're not gonna believe it, y'all. So-and-so over here did that over there. So if that doesn't paint a picture, I don't know what will. Moving on.
Hello, I'm Amber Ruffin, and today we're gonna talk about the saloon smasher. Our story starts in Kansas. Carrie Nation married a man, but he dies of alcoholism. So, in 1900, she prayed for God to tell her what to do. Jesus, let me know what I can do to stop people from drinking. God said to her, go to Kiowa, Kansas, not Iowa, Carrie, and I will stand with you. And she did. So she goes to Kiowa, Kansas. She brings like bricks and rocks to smash up bars. And that's when the real went down. She was like, I don't want to strike you, barkeep, but I will break up this den of vice. So
Den of vice?
this den of vice, the barkeep was like, this has never happened, so I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, that was loud. You don't know because my husband died of alcohol. P.S. I super hate alcohol. So, she smashes this bar up, and this is the first time anyone has ever freaked out like a crazy person. She smashes up all that. She's smashing up all of his bottles of alcohol. Well, it's illegal for him to have it. And smashing is fun. She smashed everything. She comes out of his bar. There's a huge crowd because people have never seen anything like this. So everyone's out there going, yay, we like that happened. And so she gains a lot of supporters. At this point, it's illegal to sell liquor in Kansas. Those assholes. So Carrie goes to 3 other bars, smashes their up too. And then finally, the town marshal is like, please stop. I'm going to have to arrest you. She gets arrested. She is arrested for 7 weeks. So she gets out of jail. She goes to 2 other cities in Kansas. When she gets to Wichita, she says, men of Wichita, this is the right arm of God, and I am destined to destroy every saloon in your city. She goes into the Carrie Hotel bar. She smashes up every bottle of alcohol. She smashes up every mirror, every window. She smashes it good because Jesus told her to smash. And when Jesus says smash, she smashes. She does $3,000 worth of damage. Now, during one of her smashies,
Oh, I like the smashy.
I want her to call it smashies. I don't know that she did. A fan of hers gives her a hatchet. Carrie is like, enough with the bricks, let's get to the real a hatchet. So she goes up to this bar, gets into the bar, and smashes up every bottle of alcohol. Every. Every. So
Everly Cleary?
every is what you should say, but I'm saying every. That's weird. So she smashes up everything in the bar, and she leaves the bar. And she's out talking to this huge mass of people, and it's like, alcohol is terrible. Don't drink. Everyone is like, woo, we're eating this up. So she's famous. Now she is famous. So she goes around the whole United States of America. She tours. She smashes up bars, and she never stops. And a lot of people try to write her off as a crazy lady because she's the only person saying, hey, maybe alcohol is terrible. But she'd be wrong though, because this is delicious. So she died in 1911, and Prohibition was passed in 1919, due in large part to her and her efforts. But also women's rights. That was Carrie Nation, because she always advocated for women's right to vote. Thank you for letting me vote, lady.
Amen.
Glad you smashed up these bars.
Yeah.
Bet it was cool. I sure like voting.
I've always been able to vote.
I'm black. I haven't been able to vote twice.
Hi, I'm Georgia Hardstark, and today we'll be discussing the Circleville letters.
Good?
Just great.
Okay, good.
Okay, so it begins in Circleville, Ohio in 1976. Small town, everyone is like, oh, hi, like, we're friends, like, nothing bad happens here. And they're like, I don't even lock my doors because everything's so safe around here. Can I say
Always.
Okay. So no one suspects anything is wrong.
It's Circleville.
It's Circleville. And then suddenly all the residents, like thousands of them, start getting creepy, weird, cryptic, anonymous letters. One lady opens her mail and it's like, we know what you do on a Tuesday night. I know you have these many kids and like, you've been bad. So all these letters, they're all sent from Columbus, Ohio, and the writing is super creepy and blocky. Yes, gulp indeed. And the person who's getting the most threatening mail is a school bus driver named Mary Gillespie. Her email, nope. Her letters are like, hey, we or I know that you're having an affair with the superintendent of school, who is named Gordon Massey. And you better come out with the affair or I'm gonna tell everyone and I'm gonna like post signs around town and like put it on CB radios and stuff, which is like so sweet in 70s. So Mary tells her husband Ron that there's no affair happening. This is insane. This writer has been sending these messages to everyone. Clearly he's a creep and a crazy person. And Ron is like, I believe you. So, Ron and Mary get together with Ron's sister and her husband, Paul Fresher. They're like, help us. And they are like, we support you. I don't know what's going on, but we'll help you and we're here for you. So Mary and the sister-in-law go out of town to like have a ladies' weekend and get away. And while they're out of town, Ron is at home with the kids, gets a phone call, picks up the phone and is like, hey, hi. What's going on? Hey, this is Ron Gillespie. What's the deal? And whatever they say pisses Ron off so badly that Ron is like, give me my gun. I'm gonna be back. I think I'm gonna be back, except I'm not, and like runs. Oops. Oh my God. Okay, so anyway, a few hours later, there's a car accident. Ron is dead. And the cops come and he has his shotgun in the car. The shotgun has been fired once. And they're like, oh, he was just shit-faced and drove into a tree. But then they got letters from the letter writer saying, like, what are you talking about? This was a murder, like you're being, like he was telling them that they were wrong. So a couple years later, this is 1983, Mary is driving her school bus and drives by a sign that says, Mary Gillespie sucks. And here's what's gonna happen if you don't, like, respond. And she's like, this, I'm done with this, and goes to pull the sign down, and there's a fucking booby-trapped gun behind the sign.
Gee.
I know. And so they traced the serial numbers that were partially scratched off to Paul Fresher. Hey, Paul, Mary's brother-in-law. And they convict him based on the serial numbers alone. And guess what? The letters kept coming from Columbus. And Paul was getting them in prison. And they're like, you'll never get out of there. No one will ever believe you. Go yourself.
That's a red flag.
Something's fishy. Dun, dun, dun.
That was Law and Order, or?
That was a dun, dun, dun. I think that's like, this is creepy.
Okay. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So in 93, everyone's favorite show as a child that scared the ever-loving shit out of us in the best possible way, Unsolved Mysteries,
The best.
comes to Circleville, Ohio to do a story on the letters and the possible murder and what the is happening. Everyone's like, we couldn't believe this happened here. And then Unsolved Mysteries got a letter from the Circleville letter writer. And it said, forget Circleville. If you guys come to Circleville, you freakos will pay.
Wow.
I know.
I think we should solve this mystery.
All right, so, what do you think?
You know who talks? Kids. You know who listens to kids?
Nobody.
A bus driver.
So what does that mean?
My theory is that she would be the perfect person to know what was going on in other people's lives because she was hearing the kids talk about their parents.
Oh my God.
Right?
You're smart. So Ron Gillespie could have been suspicious that Mary is having an affair.
Are you cheating on me?
No, I love you with my whole heart.
What are these? Who wrote these?
Please, you're not making any sense. You're being hysterical.
And then maybe she steals the gun from her f***ing brother-in-law and set up the booby trap.
Exactly.
School bus driver? More like I dropped out of school to become the greatest criminal of the kind.
And then Paul went to prison having no idea. I totally buy this.
Cheers, Georgia. Let's solve every murder.
To us.
To us. The night is young and so are we.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I am. 22?
Hello, I'm John Early, and today...
You don't have to whisper.
Hello, I'm John Early, and today we're gonna learn about Martha Mitchell. Martha the Mouth. It's the late 60s, it's the early 70s. Martha Mitchell is the hottest gossip around DC, okay? She was married to John Mitchell, head of the CRP, the Committee to Re-elect the President. Great. She could hear everything because her husband is directly working for the president. Tricky Dick. She had the hottest goss in DC. So Martha is like calling the local DC news reporters and being like, y'all, we got a story, y'all. So-and-so's doing this. This person's doing this. Martha's favorite reporter was Helen Thomas of the United Press International, y'all. She's like, you're not gonna believe it, y'all. So-and-so over here did that over there. So if that doesn't paint a picture, I don't know what will. Moving on. So, smash cut to June 17th, 1972. Martha and John go to a huge fundraiser in Beverly Hills for the Republican Party. Martha is like, oh, hey, there's John Wayne. There's Ronald Reagan. There's Nancy Reagan. Suddenly, bring, John gets a call. He's like, hello? And they're like, someone has broken in to the Watergate Hotel. And he was like, fuck. And that's where the story ends.
Wow, we'll never know what happened.
Yeah, the end.
They broke in and that was it.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna go. Okay, so the next morning, John Mitchell issues a statement. He's like, this has nothing to do with the CRP. This is just like a fun side burglary. I'm so sorry. The press was like, what about this guy, John McCord? Because he was one of the burglars. So John Mitchell was like, what's up? What was the question? And they said, what I'm saying is John McCord was in the CRP. And this again is fact. He goes, fuck. Not only is John McCord, of course, completely a member of the CRP, he was also Martha's head security guard. And then it starts to dawn on John Mitchell. He's like, if Martha finds out that John McCord was part of the Watergate break-in. She's gonna spill the goddamn beans. So here's what he does. He takes her to the hotel. He's like, Martha, you stay in LA, honey.
Bill Clinton.
You're right, that was Bill. Martha, you stay in LA. Okay, so he's like, I'm gonna go to DC just for fun. You stay out here, you enjoy the sun. He goes back to DC to do damage control. But first, he then has alerted his security team, specifically Steve King. He's like, make sure that you keep her in the hotel and make sure that she sees no newspapers. Smash cut to Martha Mitchell goes to the front desk of her hotel and she's like, can I have a copy of the LA Times? And the person's like, yeah. And then she opens the LA Times. Of course, every paper is running the Watergate story. She sees John McCord's name and she's like, and then she calls Helen Thomas and she's like, something fishy's going on, baby. Before she knows it, John, fucking Steve King, whatever, not John. My name's John, and I'm complicit in a way. It's my fault. Okay, so Steve King rips the phone out of her hands. Helen Thomas heard Martha say, now you get away from me. Then the line goes dead. The phone's hung up, and this is her first moment of uh-oh, you are my captor?
God bless you.
Hold on. Something is wrong. Okay, so she's like, I'm gonna sneak out and I'm gonna go into the next room and I'm gonna get the phone. I need to call Helen Thomas again. So I'm gonna sneeze again.
Please.
Oh, God. So she starts to shimmy, y'all, across the side of the building to go to her neighboring hotel room. Truly, badass. But Steve King grabs her, physically, restrains her. He calls a motherfucking doctor. The doctor says, hold her down, y'all. The doctor injects tranquilizers in her ass, Derek.
No, thank you.
They literally fully sedate her. She's basically being held hostage so that she wouldn't speak to reporters. So she is kept in her hotel for a week and she's finally released. So she goes back to the Westchester Country Club. She bursts in and she's like, I'm being held prisoner by the GOP, y'all. And John Mitchell's like, sorry, y'all, she's a little... So Martha at this point is like, okay, I'm being silenced here. So she calls Helen Thomas. I know that you've been taught that Deep Throat broke the story of Watergate, okay? It was Martha Mitchell.
Whoa.
So Helen Thomas runs Martha's story, but of course, as usual, and still today, it's relegated to the women's section, which is how to make a Jell-O mold, touch his taint if you want to make him come. And then the Republican Party, they are to blame for breaking into Watergate. And everyone's like, So no one cared, but Nixon catches wind of all this. And he's like, this is not some fucking frivolous bitch. He says to John Mitchell, you need to oh, God. Okay. He was like, keep an eye on her. And thus begins this era of it's 2 years of making her seem crazy. Richard Nixon tells the press she's an alcoholic. So then what happens is Nixon pays psychologists to say she's crazy. So Martha's like, I'm telling y'all the truth. John McCord was my lead security guard, y'all. We, in fact, developed a relationship much like the relationship portrayed in Guarding Tess, starring Nicolas Cage and I want to say Shirley MacLaine. And they're like, honey, you're crazy. And this created a very famous thing now that psychologists use, which is called the Martha Mitchell effect, which is when you're misdiagnosed as being delusional when what you're actually saying is just the truth.
Whoa.
Yeah. So 2 years later, Woodward and Bernstein blow the lid off the story, and thus John Mitchell is sentenced to prison. And Nixon resigns on TV in 1974. Martha Mitchell, she's laying back on her couch exactly like I'm doing right now. Okay? She's like martini in hand, and she's like, I told y'all. Martha dies in 1976, but at her funeral, and this is so beautiful, at her funeral, they make a sculpture out of white chrysanthemums that says Martha was right. It's so punk rock. She's the reason we know about Watergate.
Cheers, John.
Congrats. What a fun time.
The best.
To Martha.